Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I am dubbing the post-Kanikapila sunburn review. I was at the Gabi Pahinui Waimanalo Kanikapila for several hours, which pretty much involves sitting in the sun listening to Hawaiian music all day. And it's a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. But I'm sunburned now. Yes, even brown people get sunburned, I hope you know. Anyways, in order to celebrate the wonderful day I have a wonderful beer. Looky here. Barrel-aged Barleywine style Bigfoot Ale. This is, of course, from Sierra Nevada. And it is hella strong. So, 11.9 ABV. So, if you're pretty sensitive to alcohol, split this with a friend. If you're not sensitive to alcohol, pretty much this is a night here. Don't try to drink more than this. So let's read the back, shall we? 2015 Expedition. Our Bigfoot Barleywine style ale is the craft beer legend. Each winter, this beast of a beer appears to ambush unsuspecting palates with its intense, bittersweet flavors. We matured this special barrel-aged version in oak Kentucky bourbon casks for nearly a year before unleashing it into the wild. The result is an incredibly complex version of the classic beer. Bigfoot's notorious assault of resinous hops has mellowed, and the wood's influence shifts your focus towards the malt-rich burnt sugar flavors and notes of vanilla, toasted coconut, and raisins. Grab this elusive beast while you can. It won't be around for long. So, basically, this is last year's Barleywine, Bigfoot Ale, aged in bourbon casks. So they pretty much gave you the tasting notes. Let's see if it sort of meets that, shall we? Now, I've seen this price I've seen this in other reviews being priced as one of the cheaper barrel-aged ales at around $12 to $14 on the mainland. Here, it's about $19. That said, it's still pretty much standard price for a barrel-aged. Okay. This is going to be one of those cork top ones. These ones are always tough to open. Rich. Again, what you should probably be drinking this in is a snifter. I don't have a snifter, so I'm just going to do a half pour into a stout glass. A very reddish brown color, somewhat translucent, with a thin yellowish light brown head. Actually, the regular Bigfoot has a darker head than this, I find. Hop notes are still there, but much more subdued. You get that barrel-aged smell, which is oakiness, vanilla, and very much that malt flavor aged. Raisins, figs, dried plums. With that hop just sort of lending a interesting note to it. Hints of vanilla, actually kind of strong vanilla, and very thick, very chewy. Kind of boozy in the mid palate, actually. You really taste the alcohol in this one, both in the mid palate and in the finish. Very light carbonation, just a tingle on your tongue to let you know that it's there. The hops are much reduced compared to the original Bigfoot, but it is still at a very high level for a barley wine, I find, in that there's that lingering resinous taste on your palate that stays there, literally. It's still there. I'm still tasting it. Very sweet malts in the front. You get kind of nuttiness in the mid. And in the mid to finish, sort of mixed in between that resiny hop bitterness. There's also a bit of wood in that finish too. There's very much of that whiskey, bourbon whiskey wood taste in the finish as well. The most interesting note I'm finding is of high quality black licorice, though, in the mid to finish. It's I'm not going to say very effervescent, but it's a very high note. That's sort of in your nostrils as opposed to on your tongue. So definitely sweet raisins in the front, nuttiness. Transitions into nuttiness. Strongly resinous, strongly bitter finish with hints of wood and vanilla. Earthy kind of throughout with this very higher licorice note. One thing I'm finding is that because of the intensity of the hopping still yet, and the booziness, I'm kind of getting palate fatigue already, in that a lot of the finer nuanced flavors are just being overwhelmed. I am going to go and get a glass of ice water after this review is done, so I can kind of wash my palate out a little bit, so I can sort of renew it and keep on tasting those flavors, those more delicate nuances over again. So, obviously, this is a complex, well-made beer, but I'm going to say it's still a bit too young. Even though it's Bigfoot that's been aged a year, it needs more aging. I would definitely give this another 2 or 3 years of aging, bottle aging on your shelf or in your cellar. Have that bitterness sort of lowered a bit more. Some more of those delicate malt notes appear. Right now, even though it's lessened compared to the original Bigfoot, it is still very intensely hoppy. Also, too, aging will help with that booziness that especially asserts itself in the mid palate. Excuse me. I like this. There's so much going on there, but there's a couple things in there that are just so overwhelming that it's kind of blasting everything else out of there, and that's kind of frustrating for me. What's also very frustrating just for me, and this, I'm saying this just for myself and not as a reviewer, because obviously a lot more of you guys make more money than me, is that I'm not going to have a chance to go and age a bottle of this 2 or 3 years. It's just outside of my budget and outside of my storage capabilities. If you kind of notice here, this is my room. You don't see much because it's pretty much a bed, a shelf, and then there's a chair and some other stuff over there. I don't have much space to brew. I don't have space to store really anything in here, especially beer. I have to split the refrigerator with 2 other people. But enough about me. So, what can I say about Bigfoot barrel aged? A lot of people say that this is a great representation of the style. Barrel age, in my mind at least, my opinion, barrel aging and heavy hopping do not go well together. Obviously, beer should be hopped, but they kind of work at cross purposes against each other. Hopping is supposed to go and meld with the malt notes. Barrel aging is supposed to, you know, alter the malt notes. When you put them together, it's you know, one's going to win or the other, and it's just going to be kind of a mush. That said, I do believe that this is a well-made beer. Like I said, all it needs is more aging. Think of it as you would a French wine that you buy for about $40 to $50. It's far too brash, far too rough to drink it right away. It needs 3 to 5 years of aging. I would definitely say the same with this. And I truly believe that it would be a sublime barley wine with a few years of aging. So, barrel-aged Bigfoot Ale. I am definitely going to get a glass of water so I can enjoy the nuances of this a bit more. Again, it's under $20, so it's not going to totally break your bank, and it's still fairly easy to find, especially compared to previous years. They're starting to increase the production of this due to the popularity of barrel-aged beers. So go out and get it if you're a barrel-aged aficionado. If you're not aficionado of barrel aging or heavy hopping, I'd probably skip it. If you're like me, you'll drink anything. So, that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.